And we're starting with Roman Reigns, and when he returned to WWE TV in 2020, he did so as a heel. And it wouldn't be long before he was aligned with Paul Heyman and captured the Universal Championship. Despite being a heel, Reigns' run as the Tribal Chief has been a hit with audiences, and after 1,000 days and counting as Universal Champion, what is next for the head of the table? In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it is reported that WWE has several long-term plans in the works for the Tribal Chief. The most recent will be seeing whose side Jey Uso is on. The angle remains the focal point of the company and has plenty of twists and turns left. There's who Jey Uso sides with that can be dragged out, the inevitable Sikoa and Reigns feud, more with Reigns versus Cody Rhodes way down the line, and in the end, the Reigns babyface turn in the role as an all-time legend, which seems these past few years is grooming him to be, and the special attraction superhero babyface for the big shows. This report doesn't mean that Reigns will be the same character as he was before 2020, but that he will have done so much that he'll be cheered no matter what, much like any legend of the past. With that said, Reigns is reportedly unhappy with the idea of WWE making any attempt to try and get fans to cheer him, and has brought up how poorly it went the last time WWE encouraged fans to rally behind him. Roman Reigns is one of the most dominant superstars WWE has ever seen, and it's worth stating that nothing is concrete just yet with these future plans. But what do you think to the plan for Reigns to be considered a babyface again? Would you book Roman Reigns' future differently? And if so, what would you do instead? Share your views in the comments below. Since the Raw after WrestleMania 39, Cody Rhodes has been in a war with Brock Lesnar, and it was the American Nightmare who picked up the victory at Backlash in May. In the weeks leading up to Night of Champions, both Cody and Brock spoke about wanting to fight each other, and the use of that word left many anticipating that some kind of stipulation match would be happening. That didn't happen as the two met in a traditional singles match, but there was nearly a very violent stipulation taking place. BWE reports that WWE recently had plans for a dog collar match, a stipulation that Cody has been part of multiple times, but ultimately it was rejected. The report didn't say whether Cody or Lesnar was the one to say no, but given Cody's willingness to wrestle dog collar matches in the past, we imagine it was the Beast who turned the idea down. With both men having one win each, a rubber match is practically guaranteed for either Money in the Bank or SummerSlam, so perhaps we'll get a stipulation match after all, just not a dog collar match. It was also in the weeks running up to Night of Champions that Rhodes suffered a broken arm, or at least that's what WWE claimed happened to the American Nightmare. Rhodes' alleged arm injury proved to be a major factor during the match in Jeddah with Brock Lesnar, and this injury isn't going away. The Wrestling Observer newsletter noted that Cody Rhodes is booked to continue his broken arm angle, though he remains booked to compete at upcoming WWE house shows. Not only is Cody still being booked for live events despite his broken arm, but he is being put into street fights against the very game Finn Balor. It'll be interesting to see how WWE justifies sending out a wrestler with a broken arm, as we've had plenty of examples of wrestlers being pulled from action due to legitimate injuries. Rhodes has proven himself to be tough, as we all saw with his gutsy performance inside Hell in a Cell last year, and not even a so-called broken arm will stop him stepping foot in the ring. During last night's SmackDown, Lacey Evans made her return to in-ring action, but was unsuccessful in her Money in the Bank qualifier against Zelina Vega. This match marked Evans' first TV match since the March 24th episode of SmackDown, but it appears the sassy Southern Belle wasn't quite herself ahead of the match. That's at least what Fox 5 Atlanta led fans to believe, as in a tweet promoting Vega's match with Evans, they used a match graphic featuring Vega and Asuka instead. Evans saw the funny side to this, retweeting the image and telling fans, "Go watch us." And while Asuka was on SmackDown, relishing in her Raw Women's title victory, she did not face Vega. Given that Evans has been off TV for months and failed in her qualifying match, a body swap with the Empress of Tomorrow may be the closest she ever gets to holding championship gold, and this botched tweet made for some fun online for the WWE Universe. SmackDown saw Asuka and Bianca Belair take part in a brawl that had to be separated by a lot of people, including a familiar face fans haven't seen on TV in quite some time. During the brawl, several names tried to separate the EST and the Raw Women's Champion, and fans were able to spot Jason Jordan. Jordan had to retire in 2018 following a neck injury, and while at the time it was initially believed he'd be out for a year, the injury forced him to retire as an in-ring talent. The American Alpha alum has remained with WWE as a backstage producer and has been praised for his work and contributions behind the scenes, but his appearance on SmackDown was a fun cameo for the son of Kurt Angle. In the 4 years since the launch of AEW, the promotion has never shied away from competing with WWE, and likewise, WWE hasn't been opposed to sticking it to AEW. Just last week, both promotions held events on the same night, with NXT Battleground and AEW Double or Nothing happening last week, but now WWE has made a bold move for supremacy. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that WWE has a clause in their contracts with venues which specifically prohibits them from hosting AEW shows in the future. We don't know how long the time frame is for, but the report said that it is at least for a few weeks both before and after a WWE event that an arena must reject all offers from AEW. This news comes at an interesting time for AEW, who like WWE will visit several cities that are known to be hotbeds for wrestling, including Philadelphia and Chicago. This clause isn't new by any means though, as on Twitter, Eric Bischoff revealed that the same clause prohibited WCW from certain venues, the most notable being Madison Square Garden. If anything, this is a sign that WWE sees AEW as something of a threat, and if you're sat at a WWE event in the near future, don't expect to be returning to the same venue to watch some AEW action. In March, AEW held their first untelevised House Rules event in Ohio, fulfilling plans for off-camera events which have been in the works for some time. Now AEW is in the process of hosting even more House Rules events, but despite the popularity of AEW's product, these events are proving to be far from sellout shows. As WrestleTix reported, last night's event in the Cadence Bank Arena in Tupelo, Mississippi was designed to host 3,600 people, but by the time the show happened, there was close to 1,500 tickets that hadn't been purchased. Things aren't looking much better for tonight's show in the Probst Arena at Van Braun Center in Huntsville, Alabama, as the event has sold just over 2,000 tickets for a setup that can hold close to 3,700 fans. These are some rather embarrassing numbers for AEW, and these poor sales come off the back of Double or Nothing, which also seriously struggled to move tickets for what should have been an easy sellout. There's been a lot said about AEW's success with All In, with over 60,000 tickets being sold for the upcoming London, England show, but back home in the US, these ticket sales should be a big concern for Tony Khan. In less than a month, WWE will host Money in the Bank from the UK in the latest premium live event to take place outside of the US. The show will follow on from last September's Clash at the Castle in Cardiff, Wales, and we now have a major update on WWE's next event overseas. According to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, discussions are underway for a major show in India, which will take place on September 9th. This will be WWE's first event in India in 6 years, and likely the biggest WWE event ever held in the subcontinent, and emphasizes WWE's commitment to expanding its global reach and catering to its passionate fan base in the country. This isn't the only international show in the works, as it was reported not too long ago that WWE also has plans for an event in Australia, 5 years after the Super Showdown came to Melbourne in 2018. WWE has a lot of big plans in the works and has a huge following in India, and expect tickets to sell immediately for this event if it happens later this year. At Night of Champions, AJ Styles came up short in his pursuit to become World Heavyweight Champion, as the Phenomenal One lost in Jeddah to Seth Rollins. This means that Styles' lengthy World Championship drought will continue on, as it's been nearly 5 years since he last held the WWE title, but a major change may soon be in store. BWE reports that WWE is kicking around the idea for a character change, one that would see Styles become more determined and much more aggressive. The idea backstage is that Styles' new character would play on real-life matters, including his recent injury and his failure to win the World Heavyweight Championship last month. While Styles may be in line for a character change, the report did not say what would become of the Good Brothers and Michin, and whether they'd support or oppose a more aggressive AJ. Styles has spoken in the past about his career winding down, as he knows he can't be wrestling forever, but we may be seeing a much more different side to the veteran soon enough. And we're ending with Drew McIntyre, and if last year's Clash at the Castle event was any indicator, he is one of the most popular superstars to ever come from the UK. But now, the Scottish Warrior is an American citizen. PW Insider Elite reports that McIntyre has become a naturalized American citizen, and while we still don't know what his future in WWE looks like, his future will be as a citizen of the good old US of A.